welcome back to another awesome project on the channel. So in this video, we're going to build something genuinely useful. We're going to be building an AI pair programmer, basically your own kind of cursor or GitHub Copilot Chat, but built completely different, that is from scratch. So we're going to understand everything exactly how it works under the hood, and we're going to build this up. So if anyone's interesting, please do the like button and do subscribe for more such content. So let's get started. Let's go check out the demo. And boom, just like that, this is what we're going to build. It is going to be built with Next.js. Backend is going to be Python using Flask and the FastAPI. And we're going to build this up end to end, that is from scratch. So here's basically the real idea. So you write or paste any code into your real code editor that we have. And we are actually using the Monaco editor, that is from VS Code. Okay. And right next to it, we're going to have a AI assistant panel where the user can chat alongside with your code, that is with respect to the code. So whatever doubts you have, you can go ahead and then ask over here. Okay. And over here on the top, we have three options. That is explain whatever code is present at that point of time over here. And we can also try to refactor the code if at all you find there is some kind of bugs or some kind of refactoring needs to be done. Alright, so now the third option we have is basically a find bugs. So let's say if at all you have some buggy code over here within your code editor, you can try to find the bugs or make it more better, or if at all there is some kind of improvisations needed, you can even go ahead and then add that as well. Okay, and over here we can select the languages. So this is not dynamic as of now, but you can go ahead and then make that. Alright, so currently we have two files over here. I mean, you have two programs, which is a Fibonacci program as well as the find primes. Okay, so now once I press on explain, automatically it should come over here and your chat should be starting off. That is, it should start explaining the code one by one. Let's press on explain and boom, just like that. As you can see, TypeScript code explanation, it is showing all of the required explanation for this specific program. Okay, and even the streaming part is working properly fine, just like how GPT or any other AI platform gives, and it's completely done. So it says this file contains two mathematical utility functions that demonstrate recursive and iterative algorithms. First one is Fibonacci. As you can see, it is giving correctly. It has taken down the function in a really nice way, and even everything is structured as well. It has given the purpose, even the performance is given, that is O of 2n. Okay, and your find primes function, that is the second one, even this it has taken down and explained what exactly its purpose is, and it has also suggested some improvements as well over here. Okay, how cool is that, right? So we are going to build this editor right from scratch. It's going to be an amazing project to learn along with. So that's how your explain works. You can also select everything, and once you right click, we're going to add a custom action that is going to be explain with AI. So once you press on this entire code block is going to go into the chat and it should explain you the code. As you can see, just like that, as soon as I pressed on it, it has started explaining all of the code that is present over here. And even the streaming part is working properly fine. It is giving all of the details in a really informative way, which is a really good thing. So that's how your explain with AI works. You can try out different code as well. Even that is also going to work, not only this one. And you can even edit the code as well. Okay, it just works like your VS Code editor itself. Okay, now let's check out the next one, that is find bugs. So as of now, there are no bugs over here because this is the normal function to find Fibonacci. This is basically a recursive function, and this is a simple function to find primes. So let's say over here in this case, your negative integers are not handled and your decimal numbers are not handled as well. So in that case, it's going to show the bugs. But apart from that, this function is properly working fine. So once I press on find bugs, each line is going to get scanned from the starting point to the end point. It's going to scan, and if at all there are any bugs or improvements, it is going to be showing over here within the chat item. Okay, I'm going to press on find bugs. There you go, scanning all of the lines, 100% complete. It is currently scanning for bugs. Now let's see what exactly happens. And boom, just like that, it has given all of the issues. Let's go to the first one. So first one it is given is based on exponential time complexity. Okay, so this causes obviously extreme performance degradation. So you can implement memoization and then you can make it with O of n. So next, as I told you, as you can see over here, no input validation for negative numbers. That's what we discussed earlier. So your negative numbers will recurse infinitely since n never reaches the base case. That is whatever we written over here. Okay. So next we have is for no handling for non-integer inputs. You can go through this. So similarly, we have all of the bug fixes. that can be improvised with respect to this particular code. So that's how it's going to work. So you can also test out the second one, that's going to be a refactor method. So here your AI rewrites your code completely for better readability and performance and shows you a clean side-by-side difference. Okay, that is whatever value is added by the AI and whatever value you have written, that is with respect to this code. And we can also accept it or reject it once the refactoring is done. Let's see how exactly it works. So refactor, it says analyzing and refactoring your code, and boom, just like that, as you can see, it's working properly fine. I'm just going to say accept over here, and that case got accepted. Okay, so that's how your refactor is going to work. And once I press on reload, of course I've not yet made it persistent, you can go ahead and then make that as well. Okay, and we can try to sign out as well from here. So we have implemented the login and register as well. So this is going to be for a specific user. So once I sign out, automatically you're brought back to the login screen, and the backend is going to be powered by Supabase. So this is what we're going to implement in this particular video. So if it's interesting, please hit the like button and do subscribe for more such content. So let's get started with the project right away. Right, so now before starting, first let's understand what exactly we are building in detail, the tech stack we're going to use, and also the architecture overview as well. Okay, so I've just opened this eraser.io and I've just written down certain points that are important to understand before starting a project. So we are building your AI pair programmer. So we're going to try to build a web application using Next.js that works like a stripped down cursor or a GitHub Copilot Chat, but running entirely in the browser itself. So write or paste code into a real code editor. In our case, we're going to use the Monaco. So this is basically the same editor that powers your VS Code. And we're going to also build an AI panel towards the right side, as you just saw in the demo. So that can explain the code, refactor it, and if at all there are any bugs, it can even scan the bugs and show it to the user as well. And all while the AI's response streams in token by token. This is going to happen obviously. So this is going to feel the same way, just how your GPT or Claude or Grok feels. Okay, that's what we're going to build entirely in this particular video. So let's jump into the tech stack. So the tech stack we're going to use is Next.js 14 with your app router included, and we're going to use the backend part that is going to be FastAPI, obviously in Python. This is async native and it matters a lot for streaming responses because we need to show the user in a streaming way, that is from start to end, so it becomes a good UI experience for them. And it's also widely used in AI or ML jobs, so it's a useful skill for pairing with React Native or your AI content. Next, for the backend where all of the details are stored, we're going to be using Supabase, that is Postgres plus auth out of the box. No need to hand roll JWT auth from scratch for a tutorial. So next, as I said, we're going to use your Monaco editor. So this is literally just the VS Code editor component, as you saw in the demo part. And this is actually open sourced by Microsoft. Okay, it's free and it can make the product look professional instantly. All right. And yeah, the next part is your direct Anthropic REST API via HTTPX. Okay, so this was a deliberate fix, not a starting choice. We're going to explain in detail in the debugging section below because it's one of the most important lessons in the whole of the build. So this is how our file structure is going to look like. I've also pasted in that. We're going to have two outer folders. One is your front end and one is your back end. In your front end, we're going to have all of the Next.js related designs, your front end design, your components, all those things. And for the back end part, we're going to have your main.py, that is your FastAPI part, and the routers. Within that, we're going to have a stream.py file where we're going to implement the stream functionality. That's the core engine basically. So yes, that's what we're going to build. Now let's jump into your architecture. So I'm just going to press on this over here. As you can see, this is our simple architecture for the entire project. So let me just help you understand what exactly we are having over here. So we're going to have the front end part that's going to include your Next.js and Monaco, and for the backend, as I explained, it's going to be FastAPI and then the streaming part, and it's going to be taking help of the Claude API, that is Anthropic, and backend is going to be your Supabase, that is for your auth part as of now. The flow is very simple. So user is going to select code or clicks an action button in the front end that might either be explain the code or refactor the code or find the bugs in the code. Okay, next what happens, your front end is going to send a post request to API/stream with the code, your language that you've written in, like either TypeScript, CPP, JavaScript, and the prompt, your conversation history, and a mode flag. Okay, next step is your FastAPI builds a system prompt based on the mode, that is your chat versus explain versus refactor or bugs, each get a different instruction set. Okay, and finally your FastAPI is going to call Anthropic's REST API directly within the stream. We're going to pass stream as true, and it forwards each token back to the front end as a server sent event, that is called as SSE. That is what we are showing over here. Okay, and front end reads the server sent stream and appends each token to the chat UI in real time. That we're going to show it onto the UI, that is to the editor part. So yes, that's what we're going to build, and this is the entire plan. So let's get started. Hope you understood about what exactly we are building. Okay, so let's come back to the VS Code over here. I've just opened a blank Visual Studio Code template, and here first of all I'm going to go into my build folder where the project is going to be present. Okay, I mean I've not yet created a folder, so I'm going to create it with the help of mkdir. I'm going to say AI programmer. You can give any name you want to give, and we can go into that particular folder structure. Press on open folder, build, and then AI programmer. We do have a new folder, that is AI programmer. Within this, all of our folders, your code is going to go into. Okay, so yeah, the first step is let's do the Next.js setup. Okay, before that, create two folders, mkdir frontend and backend. There you go, two folders got created. This step is done. Next, let's go into the cd frontend, enter. So yes, within the frontend folder, I'm going to go ahead and then execute this command, which is directly going to execute this particular Next.js initialization command, and within the frontend folder directly your project structure should be shown. Else if all you just do npx create next app at latest, it's going to ask you the project name. So just to skip that one folder level, we're just trying to execute it just like this. You can take a look at it. This is the entire command, and I'm going to press on enter. So there you go, it asks create next app at 16.2.9. Okay to proceed, I'm going to say yes. It says initializing project with template, and it's installing all of the dependencies, and it's also installing all of these dev dependencies. So yes, let's wait for a couple of minutes for the project initialization to complete. So there you go, it says initialize the Git repository and success created frontend at this particular location, that is our frontend location. There you go, just like that, all of the required files and folder structures have been initialized with respect to the Next.js project, and everything is directly present within the frontend app. And this is the main app router, and this is the layout.tsx. This is the main page.tsx. So once when I run the application, whatever is there within this particular content is going to be shown onto the website. Okay, so you can check out the package.json. All of these are present. So the way we run this is yarn run dev. That is how it is given according to the scripts. So clear over here, I'm going to say yarn run dev. First of all, let's try to fire up the application. Enter. So there you go, it's running on localhost 3000. Let's press on this, and just like that we have started off our project. So this is a basic simple Next.js application. It's working properly fine. So now if this part is done, so now we can move on to the next part, that is going to be your FastAPI backend setup. So now for the FastAPI backend setup, first of all, let's try to create a virtual environment. Okay, so make sure you're into the backend folder, and here I'm going to say Python -m and then VNV. Let's press on enter. So you should be seeing a VNV folder getting created, and within the bin we have the activate. So we need to go ahead and then activate it as well. So for that, I'm going to say your source VNV/bin and then activate. There you go. So our virtual environment is activated over here. Okay, so clear. So now why exactly are we using the virtual environment? Because this creates an isolated Python environment for your project, so that packages installed for one project don't affect the others, and different projects also use different package versions, and you can also avoid cluttering your system-wide Python installation. So that's the reason it's useful and necessary to use a virtual environment and then work for each specific project. So this part is done. So now let's move on to the next step. So we're going to create a main folder, a main file that's going to be main.py. So here, first of all, I'm going to, import few things. I'm going to say from FastAPI, import your FastAPI, and from your FastAPI dot your middleware dot cors, import your cors middleware. So first of all, you're trying to run the backend. So for that, let's try to create an instance of application. I'm going to say app is going to be equals to FastAPI, and furthermore, I'm going to say app dot your add middleware. This in turn is going to take in your cors middleware, comma allow origins. So we're going to pass in our front-end URL, that is going to be http localhost 3000. Next, I'm going to say allow underscore credentials, that is going to be your star, means allow everything. Sorry, my bad. Allow credentials is going to be equals to true. And for allow methods, it's going to be equals to star. Furthermore, we're going to have your allow headers. Okay, that's it. So this part is done. Now next, let's try to implement a health endpoint. I'm going to say at app.get /health. I'm just going to say a small function define health over here, a return status, that is going to be okay. Save the file, clear. Okay, so we're going to use UVCon to run the application. That's the backend, and boom, just like that, as you can see, started reloader process and started server process as well, waiting for application startup, and application startup is complete. So this is working properly fine. You can check out localhost 8000 /health. You should be seeing status as okay. You can also check out the docs as well, that is localhost 8000 /docs. We should be able to see our endpoint over here. Okay, let's check out the health part over here. It should return status as okay, and we can verify our backend is working fine. There you go, status is okay. So yes, this part is complete. This was pretty simple. So our front end is running and even our back end is also running. So now next, let's actually look into the Supabase project setup. So let's go into supabase.com and let's create a new project. I'm going to press on new project over here. So let's say a project name. I'm going to say AI program or programmer. Let's choose in a strong password. I'm going to choose, let's say, something that is nearby to my place. Use that and then create a new project. Alright, this part is done. Let's cancel this for now. And the next step is to set up the environment variables. Okay, so basically this is your Supabase URL. That's the project URL. Copy that down. So we're going to come back to the front end folder, create a .env.local file, enter. So just go ahead and then paste all of these values and the keys. I'll be showing you how to get it. So these are my previous project values. I've just pasted that. So let's just change the first two. Come back to Chrome over here, copy down this thing, that is going to be your project URL. Just cancel this and then add this value. And for your Supabase anon key, come back to Chrome again. Make sure you come back to project settings and API keys, come back to legacy anon service role API keys, copy this one, the first one, that is going to be your anon key, and we can go and then paste it over here. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and this is going to remain as is. Whereas for the backend part, I'm gonna again paste in new keys. So press on backend and it's going to be just .env over here. So there you go, I've just pasted in all of the keys. It's going to be pretty same itself, just this is going to be same, that is Supabase URL and then Supabase anon key, Anthropic API key, you might require it. So just go into the platform and then top up with $5 of credit, and then you should be able to create a new API key as well. So to get your key, you can head over to console.anthropic.com. That's where you would get it. Okay, and make sure you have a Google account or any kind of account, and you can top up your account, and you should be able to go into the API section and press on create API key, give it a name, and then come back and then paste it over here. Okay, so that's how you get your Anthropic API key. In my case, I'm using Anthropic. You can use your GPT key as well. Even that should work properly fine. Just the implementation is gonna differ. Now let's implement the Supabase client, and then let's set up the auth config that is going to happen within the front end part. So come back to front end, and then let's create two folders, that is the lib and then your supabase.ts file. So I'm going to say front end new folder lib. I'm going to say supabase.ts. So I'm just going to install a few packages for the front end part, that is with respect to your Supabase. Make sure you're into the front end folder. I'm going to use yarn, add these two packages, Supabase.js and then Supabase SSR. So install this package, and then let's try to write down the code for your Supabase client. Let's give it some time to complete. So there you go, it's almost done. So let's come back to supabase.ts file. Here first of all, I'm going to import your create browser client from Supabase SSR. Okay, next I'm going to export the values. I'm going to say export const Supabase equals to create browser client. This is going to take in two things, your Supabase URL as well as the Supabase anon key. So I'm going to say process.env dot your next underscore public underscore Supabase underscore your URL. Next we're going to say process.env dot your next underscore public Supabase anon key. That is going to be just like this. So yeah, this step is complete. So now in Supabase, we can head over to your dashboard, authentication, and then providers. And we can make sure that your email is enabled. I think it is default enabled. Let's just verify that. Come back to your authentication and then your sign-in providers. Yeah, there you go. Email is by default enabled. So this part is done. So now we can move on to the next step. We can build the front end, that is the page.tsx, that is your registering part as well as the logging in part. That's the simple form that we're going to look into. So yes, first of all, let's head over to your page.tsx and let's look into that. Yeah, let's finish designing that page.tsx and then we can come back to the streaming part, that's the backend. So yeah, let's first of all create a new folder within the app. That's going to be auth. Here I'm going to say auth. Within the auth, I'm going to say your page.tsx. Page.tsx. All right. So yeah, this is okay. Next. So next I'm going to add a bunch of design for the globals.css, and also since we're using Tailwind, actually we're using Tailwind version 3. I think version 4 is installed if I'm not wrong. There you go. We're not going to use this. We're going to make some configuration changes and then we're going to set this up. So come back to postcss.config.mjs. There we're going to make some changes. So I'm just going to say const config equals to Tailwind CSS. So this is the configuration according to your version 3. So I'm just going to use that. Pass on the Tailwind CSS as well as the auto prefixer and then export default config. Next, let's come back to your package.json. We need to install the Tailwind CSS package, that is going to be version 3. So this is going to be the command. You can take a look at it. Tailwind CSS add 3, your post CSS as well as your auto prefixer. Let's install this. Okay, there you go. It has been installed. So let's come back to your globals.css. Where is that? Over here. We can remove all of this. Alright, yeah, so for the globals.css, make sure and then go ahead and then add all of these Tailwind classes. This is with respect to your Tailwind version 3. Okay, and for all of the entire thing I've said, star box sizing is going to be border box, and for HTML as well as the body height is going to be 100 VH. This is the design for the WebKit scroll bar, that is for Next.js scrolling. You can take a look at it, and these are some of the class names which we're going to use, so you can take a look at all of these styles as well. So for prose, dark, that's the class name, and for the paragraph, UL, OL, LI, all of the tags we've given some basic stylings. So this is for your code, this is for the pre, and this is for the pre-code. So you're going to use this in the design part, so that's the reason I've added it over here. Okay, so yeah, save, this is what is going to be present within the globals.css, and within the main page.tsx, let's first of all remove everything. I'm going to say export default function, that is going to be home. I'm going to say const status. So onto the home page, we're going to show if at all the backend is working fine or not, then they can navigate to the editor. Next, this is going to be equals to use state, that is going to say checking. Here I'm going to return a main tag, and here I'm going to say use effect. This is going to run on the initial mount, so empty dependency array. Just try to call the JavaScript fetch. This is going to call to the backend API, that is localhost 8000 / your health dot then it's going to give the result. I'm going to convert it into JSON. Again, furthermore, again I'm going to say data, set the status to be of data.status. That's it. Furthermore, I'm going to say dot catch. I'm going to say set the status to be of your error. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file. For the main, I'm going to give some basic styling. Give it flex, and then min height of screen. Items is going to be of center, and justify of center as well. Next, I'm going to have a diff tag basically. Give it a class name, that is going to be text of center, and a h1 tag over here, which is going to say AI pair programmer. You can make the screen even more better by adding some design UI elements, and if at all, you can have a button as well which says editor, and if at all they press on that, you can go to / editor, and this is going to be the backend status. Now let's check out the design, how exactly it's looking. So I'm going to say localhost 3000. Okay, it says you're importing a module that depends on use effect. Okay, we need to use the use client directive over here, that's not added. So I'm going to say use client, and that error should be gone. There you go, it's working fine. AI pair programmer, and then backend status is okay because our backend is working properly fine. So design for the h1 tag, I'm going to say class name, text of 2XL, font is going to be medium, MB of 2. For the p tag, class name, text of SM, text gray of 500. Save, reload. And I've also made a few changes within your layout.tsx. okay, we need to import your globals.css, and I've just said export const metadata. That's going to be title, it's going to be AI pair programmer, description is going to be AI powered code editor, and export default function root layout, include the children, that's going to be of type react.react node, and then pass in all of the children over here. Okay, and I've given height of full over here. Let's try to save. So let's come back to page.tsx. Let's give text red of 500 or 600. Okay, so for some reason your Tailwind CSS is not getting applied. So let's look into your next.config.ts. If at all anything needs to be written over there. I don't think this is with respect to the styling part. Okay, my bad. There is one important file that's missing. That is the tailwind.config.ts. That's the reason it's not applying. So I'm going to say tailwind.config.ts. Here I'm going to import all of the configuration such that our styles is going to be applied with respect to the folder structure that we have. Okay, so here the content of passed in is every file within the app directory as well as the component directory. Go ahead and then apply the styles. If at all it's JS, TS, JSX, TSX file or something like that. Okay. And for plugins, I've imported the dependencies that we've installed. That is the Tailwind CSS as well as the typography. Save the file. Now it should be working fine. Okay, cannot find module Tailwind CSS as well as typography. Let's verify that once within the package JSON. Yeah, it is not installed. Let me just check out my previous project. Yeah, we need to install this. So I'm going to say cd frontend yarn add -d the package name. There you go. It should be present over here in just a minute. Not sure why it's not adding. Yeah, it got added. That's the one. Come back over here. There you go. Just like that. AI pair programmer backend status is okay. So now if at all you come to /auth or to /editor, if at all the user is logged in, we need to show the editor. If at all they're not logged in, then go and then show the auth. And you can also try to implement a really good design over here, so showing the user that this is a AI pair programmer website, and you can show a button which is editor, which would navigate them to the editor. I'm not going to do that part for now. That is the design part. You can do it on your own. So we can head back to the auth.tsx and we can start designing this. That is the auth page.tsx. So here initially I'm going to say export default function. It's going to be your auth page. Okay, I'm going to say const router is going to be equals to use router. Next I'm going to have a bunch of states that we are going to use. So const email set email equals to use state. So we're basically going to have just a single route that is going to be /auth, and within that itself we're going to have conditional based sign up or sign in. If at all they press on sign up, then it's going to show the sign up design. If at all they press on sign in, then it's going to show the sign in design. So we're just going to have one /auth page for the entire auth process. Okay, next we're going to have it for the password part. So I'm going to say const password set password is going to be equals to use state, again initially empty string. Next I'm going to say const is login set is login equals to use state. Initially it's going to be true. Next is for the loading and then set loading state. So const loading set loading is going to be equals to use state. This is going to be false initially. Next we have it for the error state. So const error set error equals to use state, initially empty string. Next is for your checking session. So const checking session, we do need a state for this as well, set checking session is going to be equals to your use state, and initially it's going to be equals to true. Okay, next we're going to have a use effect. Import that correctly. Over here I'm going to say const check session. This is a function to check the user session. If at all it is active, that is if at all the user session is active, they are logged in, then show the editor, else just set the checking session to be of false. Okay, so I'm going to say const check session is going to be equals to a async function over here, and I'm going to say const your data, that is going to be your user, is going to be coming from your Superbase part. I'm going to say Superbase. From the lib imported, we've already exported the value. I'm going to say superbase.auth.your get user method. So this would give us the data. I'm going to check if at all your user data is present, then over here I'm going to say router.replace to be of your editor. Okay, else over here I'm going to say set your checking session to be of false, and this is going to be dependent upon the router, so I'm going to say a router over here. So that's it. So let's get into the return block design and let's exactly see how exactly it's going to look. So a main block over here, let's pass on the design to this. So class name, flex, min height of screen, items of center, justify of center as well, and bg is going to be your 0a, 0a and then 0a. Save the file. Okay, so yeah, we are going to use your use client over here as well. So use client save. Okay, it says your next router was not mounted, so it needs to be imported from your next navigation. Okay, not this one, so it should be next / your navigation. Save. There you go. Just like that, we have a really good looking screen. It's completely blank. Let's style it out properly. So within the main, I'm gonna have a diff. Within that, a h1 tag, which is gonna say AI pair programmer. Let's first of all give some styling to this so that we could see it onto the screen. Class name, I'm gonna say text of LG. Font is gonna be medium. And your text is going to be this color code, that is E5, E5 and then E5, margin bottom of 1. Save, and there you go. Just like that, is looking pretty neat. Okay, so this part is done. Next I'm going to check. So next I'm going to have your p tag. I'm going to say is login is true, then it's going to say sign in to your account, else it is going to say create a new account. Let's also pass on the specific style for the p tag. So class name, a text of SM and text of 555, that's the color code for this one. Apart from that, a MB of 6. Save. Let's look into this. There you go. Sign into your account. That's looking good. Now next, let's start designing out the input fields over here. So yes, right below your p tag, I'm going to have basically a div. This in turn is going to have your input field. So this is going to have a type that is going to be your email, your placeholder that is going to be your email as well. Let's pass on the value that is going to be email on change text. Okay, not on change text, just on change. In React Native, it's on change text. Take an event over here and set the state. I'm going to say set email to be of your e dot target dot value. Okay, so next let's try to have a class name. Here we're going to say bg and then 16, 16 and then 16. It's going to have a border and border of this color code, that is 2a and then 2a. Text of this color code, that is going to be your E5. I'm going to say rounded is going to be LG. Okay, some px of 3, py of let's say 2.5, text is SM, outline I'm going to say none, and if at all I do a focus, I'm going to say it's going to have a border of this color code, that is 7C6 AF7. I'm going to say transition is going to be colors. Save the file. Let's look into it how exactly it's looking. There you go. Just like that, is looking pretty neat. And once I focus, as you can see, we do have a nice border that's in purple color. That's looking pretty good. So this part is done. So next you're going to have it for your second input. That's going to be for the password. So the design is going to remain essentially the exact same thing. just that we have some other changes. Let's do that. Okay, so instead of type email, it is going to be password. Your placeholder is going to say password over here. Value, let's change it. It's going to be password. On change, instead of set email, I'm going to say set password, and this is going to remain as is e.target.value. And I'm going to say on key down, that is if at all you press your enter, I'm going to say e.key equals to your enter, and here itself directly we can call the handle auth function. We can comment this out for now because handle auth is not yet defined. Okay, just yeah, the class name is going to remain as is. That's pretty much it. Save the file. Let's look into this. There you go. We have email password, but it needs to come into a column fashion. So for the diff over here, I mean this one, I'm going to say class name, give it flex, and pass on flex column, and pass in a gap of 3. Save. Let's see how exactly it's looking. There you go. That's pretty neat. Now for the outermost diff, let's pass on the design. That's for this one. Let's increase the width. I'm going to say class name width of full, max width SM, BG of this color code, that is 0D. It's going to have a border, and border of this color code, that is 1A, and then 1A. Apart from that, I'm going to say rounded is going to be XL, and some internal spacing, padding of 8. Let's try to save the file. There you go. Just like that, is looking pretty neat. It's better than the previous version. Next, if at all there is any error, I'm going to show that as well. That is going to be below your input. So error and having a p tag, which is going to show that specific error. This is going to be in red color. So class name, text of small, text red of 400. Okay, that's good. Next we do have is for the button part. Here if at all it's loading, I'm going to say please wait ... and if at all your is login is true, it's going to say sign in, else it is going to say sign up. Okay, so let's look into the configurations over here for the button. So it's going to be disabled if at all your loading is going to be true, because the user might press the button again. So disable it, and let's pass on the class name for this. It's going to have a BG of this color code, the same one which we gave for the border. Copy that down and then add it over here. Okay, next apart from that, hover, I'm going to say BG is going to be 6A5 8E5. So next apart from that, I'm going to say text is going to be white. Okay, then rounded is going to be LG. Again some px of 3, py of 2.5, text of SM. Font is going to be your medium, cursor pointer, and disabled I'm going to say cursor is not allowed. That is this one, and again transition is going to be for colors. This is the one, and save the file. Let's see how exactly it's looking. There you go. Just like that, is looking pretty good. So this part is done. So now we do have a button for next one, that is going to say if at all you don't have an account, sign up, already have an account and then sign in. Okay, so that button is going to come right below this one. Let's go and then add it over here just like this. Again, conditional styling is login. I'm going to say don't have an account, question mark, sign up, else it is going to say already have an account, then sign in. So let's look into the styling part over here. We just added the style for this specific button, and on click I'm going to say set is login to be off here, not off is login. Let's try to save the file. Let's look into the design over here. There you go, just like that. Is looking pretty good. Let's press on this, and as you can see, it is just changing it properly. As you can see, already have an account, then sign in or sign up. So in a single route we can implement both of these things with the help of conditional styling. So this part is done. So now next we can look into the backend part and we can implement the streaming. That is, we're gonna have a stream.py and we're gonna implement the complete system for that. So that's going to be the single main file that drives everything, your chat part, your explain code part, your refactoring or finding bugs and everything else. So let's understand what exactly we're going to build, and let's build this up. It's going to be in the backend part. So come back to backend. So press on backend, new folder. It is going to be your routers over here. And I'm going to create a stream.py file. Okay, let's start writing the code for this one. So whatever code we are writing over here within the stream.py, it is going to create basically a FastAPI streaming endpoint that is going to act as a, let's say, proxy between your front end and your Anthropic's Claude API. Okay, so it streams Claude's responses, that is token by token, to the client, that is to us front end part, using your server sent events, that is SSE. So first of all, let's import the required things that we're going to use over here within this specific file. So I'm going to say from your FastAPI, I'm going to import your API router. Then from FastAPI.your responses, I'm going to import your streaming response. Then from Pydantic, I'm going to say import your base model. I'm also going to import your OS. Next, import your JSON as well. Import your HTTPX as well, that's important. This is the one. Apart from that, from your .env, import load.env. So first of all, try to call the load.env so that all of the environment variables are loaded, and create your router. I'm going to say router is going to be equals to your API router. Okay, so this basically is going to create a mini router. So this is eventually going to be mounted in the main.py. So we're going to write something like this in the main application, that is app.include of that specific router, whatever we are writing over here, just like this. Okay, so as I said, it's just going to create a mini router. Next, let's try to access your class, that is for stream request. We're going to write the body schema for that. I'm going to say class stream request of your base model. It's going to have a code that is going to be of string. What language is it? Again of string. Next, your prompt, that is going to be of string as well. Your messages, that is going to be in the form of a list, equals to array, and mode string. By default, it's going to be in your chat mode. Okay, so we are writing this just to define your body schema. So let's say your incoming request is going to look something like this, that is over here. Okay, we're going to say code is going to be like print hello, that's the simplest code, and language, let's say it's in Python, and prompt is given by the user, which is going to say explain this code. Messages is initially empty, and the mode is going to be your chat mode. Okay, so that's how it's going to be used. So now let's define a function that's going to be your build system prompt. That is really important for your Claude. Okay, so here I'm going to say define build system underscore prompt. So this basically determines Claude's role, whatever you're writing inside this. So first of all, I'm going to check the condition. So here this is going to take in a bunch of values, that is going to be language, string, and mode is also going to be of string as well. Here I'm going to check if at all your mode is going to be equals to refactor. So remember, we had three modes basically, that is your explain, refactor and then find the bugs. So based on that, we are going to write the conditions and it's going to be useful for Claude. So here I'm going to say return. So for the first one, I'm going to write the message. You can take a look for the second and third one. So I'm going to enter it. So here I'm going to say you are an expert. I'm going to say language over here, because based on that specific language, we're going to provide the system prompt to Claude. I'm going to say developer and then hyphen new line. Next over here, I'm going to say when asked to refactor code, I'm going to say you must respond in this exact JSON format and nothing else. Okay, so we're going to also give the JSON over here as well to Claude. So that is going to look something like this. Okay, so we're going to say explanation, brief explanation of all the changes made, and refactored code is going to be the complete refactored code is going to be here. Okay, so that is going to be the condition or the system prompt we're going to pass on to Claude if at all your mode is going to be equals to your refactor. So in this case, your Claude will output something like this to the user. That is explanation and then refactored code. Okay, that's it. Now let's move on to the next one. That is going to be mode equals to bugs. Here I'm going to check if my mode equals to your bugs. Then here I'm going to say return. Again, similarly, you are an expert language developer. It might be anything based on whatever the user suggests or the user is using within the code editor. Developer and code reviewer, and then new line, so /n. Again, I'm going to say when asked to find bugs, you must respond in this exact JSON format and nothing else. So I've just added it again, that is for the JSON format. So it's going to be has bugs is going to be equals to true, and for bugs you're going to have line 1 severity, critical, and issue is going to be that specific description, fix is going to be how to fix, and summary is going to be your overall summary. And your output is going to come from Claude just like this. Okay, that is has bugs is going to be equals to true, and bugs it's going to be an array of, let's say, all of these informations, array of objects, that is which line is present, line 10, and what is the severity for that specific line, it's either critical or non-critical, and issue as well as the fix as well. So your Claude is going to return something like this if at all your mode is going to be equals to bugs. Else the default is going to be your chat mode, and we're going to write the condition for that as well. So if at all not these two cases, I'm directly going to say return just like this. Again over here I'm going to say you are an expert, I'm going to say language developer and AI pair programmer. Okay, I'm going to say help by explaining code, answering questions, and also suggesting improvements. Okay, and then /n. I'm also going to say use your markdown formatting, because this also gives the result in a really good formatted way to the user. It becomes easier to understand. And furthermore, I'm going to say use code blocks with language specified. Okay, so that's pretty much it for your final condition and the entire build system prompt functionality. Let's minimize this a bit. So now similarly, let's write the next one, that is going to be build your user message. Okay, so yeah, over here we're going to say define build user message. It's going to be pretty simple. off, it's going to take in again your code that is going to be in string format, your specific language, whatever the user has coded in, string, your prompt as well is going to be string. Okay, so here initially, so here I'm going to say fence is going to be equals to an empty string just like this, and I'm going to say return, it's going to be here is my that specific language, access it. I'm going to say here is my language code, pass on the language, hyphen, /n, and then code, your fence again, and then your prompt. Okay, that is just like this. Let's try to save the file. So now let's move on to the next one, that is going to be your stream Claude functionality. Let's go and then write that one. Here I'm going to say define, it's going to be stream Claude. It's going to be async function basically. So async function stream Claude, it's going to have a request that's going to be of type stream request. It's already defined onto the top. Initially I'm gonna have my messages array as empty array. I'm gonna say for my messages in request dot messages dot append of that specific message. Okay, and here I'm gonna say messages dot append, your role is gonna be with respect to the user, and content is going to be build user message of your request dot your code, request dot language, and it's also going to take your request dot prompt. So here I'm going to say request dot prompt. So this is actually done to build your conversation history. So this basically keeps the previous chat messages as well. So that's the reason we have done over here. So let's say we have this example with us. I'm just going to enter it over here. Role is going to be user, which is going to say what is recursion, and AI is going to reply back to us saying that recursion is so and so, and then the current question is appended, let's say with the help of this one. So just like this it goes on appending, and we're going to save the chat history onto that specific chat. Okay, so let's try to save. That was it about this piece of code. Next, let's try to generate the payload. So here I'm going to say your payload is going to be equals to the model that we're going to use. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet 4.5. Okay, next I'm going to choose the maximum tokens as 4096. Apart from that, I'm going to say system, that is going to be your build system prompt that we've already defined above. This is going to take two things, request.language as well as the mode. Apart from that, I'm going to say messages is going to be your messages, whatever is present, and I'm going to pass on this value stream is going to be equals to true. Okay, so that's going to be your payload. Let's also pass on the headers. That's going to be next. I'm going to say X API key is going to be equals to your API key. I don't think I've added this over here, so we can directly try to get it from the env file over here on the top. You can add it just like this. Okay, so this part is done. Next, let's move on to the Anthropic version. So I'm going to use this one, 2023 06 and then 01. And finally, I'm going to say content type, that is going to be your application /JSON. I hope you understood about what streaming is true. So let's say without this, Claude sends one large response, whereas with it, it is going to send chunk by chunk. So let's say it's going to send just like this. Okay, I copied the wrong one. Just a minute. It's going to send it, let's say, just like this. That is H HE, HEL, HELL, and hello. Okay, so the user can see actually the answer that is going to come token by token. So headers part is done. That is used for authentication part. So next is going to be your async client. We're going to create that. Okay, so this is going to create a async HTTP client. So below your headers part, I'm going to create that. I'm going to say async with your httpx dot your async client. I'm going to pass your timeout. That's going to be 120. I'm going to use it as a client. So within this, first of all, I'm going to create the streaming request. I'm going to say async with your client dot stream. Pass on the method that's going to be post. This is going to be the URL https /API dot your anthropic.com /v1 / your messages. Pass on the JSON that is going to be your payload. It's already defined above, and also pass on the headers as well. That is going to be headers. Here I'm going to say as your response. Alright, so here I'm going to say async for line in response dot iter lines. So this is done to read the Claude stream, whatever it gives back to the user. Okay, so Claude sends data like this, line by line. You can think of it like this. So it's going to send data, some data over here, some data in the next part, and then some data in the next part, that is chunk by chunk. So here I'm going to check the condition stating that if my line dot starts with your data, here I'm going to say data is going to be equals to line of 5 dot strip it up to that. Okay, next I'm going to say data is going to be equals to done finally. That is just like this. Then I'm going to say break over here. Here I'm going to have my try catch block. I'm going to say event is going to be equals to your JSON.loads of data. Okay, and this is basically done to stop your stream. We're going to check if at all the data sent by Claude is equals to done, then stop it. Next, here we're trying to actually parse the data, that is parse your JSON. So this basically, converts, let's say we have something like this that is going to be received. Okay, we are going to convert it into something like this, into proper JSON. Okay, that's the reason we are writing this piece of code. And we're also going to extract the tokens and then generate it into proper text format. Here I'm going to check if at all your event dot your get of type is equals to your content block details, not details, delta. Then text is going to be equals to your event dot get of delta dot get of text. I'm going to check if at all you do have that text, then yield it. I'm going to say data is going to be your JSON.dumps of your text, that is going to be text. Okay, that's it. And except block, I'm just going to say pass over here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And over here I'm just going to say yield data is going to be done. So that's the complete function for your Claude streaming part. Okay, so this part is done. So the reason we're using yield is it basically helps in streaming continuously. So that's the reason we're going to use yield instead of your return. So now next let's move on to the API endpoint, that is going to be your streaming part. Okay, it's going to be pretty simple. So here I'm going to say at router.post to be a /stream and here I'm going to say async define stream underscore endpoint. It's going to take in a request that is going to be of type stream request. So as you might already know, it should come something like this. That is, the data is going to get received like this. That is the code, language, and the prompt. Okay, so let's start writing the function for this. So here I'm going to say return your streaming response and call that stream Claude of request. Pass on the media type over here. That is going to be text / event stream. That's the one which you're going to use. Next, your headers. I'm going to say cache control is going to be no cache and then no transform. Next, XACL buffering is going to be no. Right, so that's pretty much it. This part is done. Next, let's come back to your main.py and then let's first of all import this stream part. So come back over here, and over here I'm going to say from your routers import stream. Okay, so let's try to use it over here as I just explained previously. It's going to be app.include router of your stream.router. Prefix is going to be / your API. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So we are good to go. That is, the backend part is completely done. So we can actually try to implement a route.ts that is required for the front end part as well. So come back to the app, and then we're going to create a new folder that is going to be API. Within that, it's going to have a new folder stream. Furthermore, I'm going to say your route.ts. Okay, so here I'm going to say export const runtime is going to be equals to h. Here next I'm going to say export your async function post. This is going to have basically a request that is going to be of type next request. Import that from next server. First of all, get in the body. So const body is going to be equals to await request dot your JSON. Let's initialize the response. I'm going to use JavaScript fetch itself. So const response is going to be equals to await fetch. Make the call to the endpoint. That is going to be http localhost 8000 / API / stream. That's the correct endpoint. And here pass on the method that is going to be your post method. Pass on the headers as well. I'm going to say content type. It's going to be application / JSON. Here I'm going to say body JSON.stringify of your body. Okay, that part is done. Next over here I'm going to say return new response of your response.body and pass in all of the headers over here. So there you go. So this part is working properly fine. So we can come back to the page.tsx and then we can implement your handle auth functionality. Okay, that's the remaining step. So come back to page.tsx and let's write the function. Const handle auth is going to be equals to a async function. First of all, set loading is going to be of true. Set your error, that is going to be of empty string. Next, const error is going to be equals to, if at all it's login, it's going to be this command, that is await your superbase dot auth dot, we do have a sign in with password method, use that. This is going to take in two things, email comma password, else it is going to be await your superbase dot auth dot sign up. It's again going to take in two things, email comma password. Alright, and furthermore I'm going to check if at all there is any error, then set that specific error to be of the error dot message. Okay, else I'm going to say router dot replace to be of your / editor, and I'm going to check set your loading to be of false. Save the file, and let's also create the editor, and then let's have some boilerplate code. So press on app, new folder, editor, and then your page.tsx, rnfes or rfce, save. Okay, so yeah, let's come back to your page.tsx for the auth, and over here, if at all your checking session is true, here I'm going to say return a main tag. Within that I'm going to have a p tag which is going to say loading dot 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 dot, and for your main tag I'm going to pass on the class name, pass on flex, and min height of screen items is going to be of center, justify of center as well, and bg is going to be this color code, that is 0a 0 and then 0a. For the p tag I'm just going to pass on the styling, it's pretty simple. I'm going to say text of sm, text is going to be your 555. So yeah, let's try to save the file. Let's come back over here. Okay, so set loading is okay. Let's try to call the check session over here. There you go, that's working fine. So yeah, we can try to give this a try. So we have, I think I've not given the on click. Yeah, that's for the handle auth. We need to uncomment this as well. And for this one, let's give the on click is going to be equals to your handle auth. Save. So let's give this a try. So first of all, let's try to sign up and even try the sign in part, and let's exactly see what is happening. So I'm going to give my email and a normal simple password, sign up. Okay, sorry, this is for login, my bad. Yeah, this is for sign up. And there you go, just like that. As you can see, we are back into the editor. Okay, so since now there is nothing in editor, no design is being properly shown, so which is properly working fine. And as you can see, even in the logs, let's check out over here. Okay, there are no issues, it is working properly fine. Okay, so the login, I mean the sign up is working properly fine. You can verify that in the backend as well. Let me check out my table editor, and you can check out your, I mean not table editor, your authentication. You should be seeing the first user. There you go, that's working properly fine. So waiting for verification, you can try to verify that as well. I'm just going to go to my mail and then verify it. Okay, there you go, just after verification it's going to bring you to this specific page. It's working properly fine. So this part is done. Okay, so now we can head over to the next part, that is to design the main stuff, that is going to be our editor part. So we're going to use the Monaco editor as we have previously explained. Okay, so that's going to be the next step. So let's go and then install that package, that is for the Monaco editor. So make sure you're into the front end folder. Okay, and I'm going to say yarn add your @Monaco editor / React. Let's press on enter. And I'm also going to install two more things, that is for the React Markdown and the Lucid React. These two things are required for the front end chat panel and the Markdown rendering. All right, so similarly I'm going to say yarn add your React markdown and then lucid React. Enter. Alright, so this part is done. So now we can look into the page.tsx of your editor part. Okay, and let's exactly see how we are gonna design this part. So come back to your editor page.tsx. It's currently empty. Okay, so let me see what exactly we're gonna have. So on the top, I'm gonna have the interface that is gonna be a pending prompt. ID is gonna be number. Your text, that is gonna be string, and your type, that is gonna be your action type. And let me define the action type over here. So const action type, we have three actions: explain, or your refactor, or it's gonna be your bugs part, or your chat. I'm also gonna have your editor mode as well. Okay, not const, my bad, it's gonna be type. Next is gonna be for type editor mode, it's either gonna be edit or difference or a scanning mode. I've also added the default code over here, as you saw in the demo part of the video. So we were looking into a Fibonacci example as well as a find prime example. You can add in any code you want to add, whereas I have added your default code which says welcome to pair programmer, AI pair programmer, and select any code, right click and then explain with AI. And these are the functions that I've used. That is Fibonacci function. It's pretty simple with the help of recursion, and this is to find if at all it is a prime or not, or I mean it's gonna find the primes up to certain number, that is let's say 2 to 50. Okay, so that's the program I'm going to use. You can use your own programs, and I've also added the languages over here, a bunch of array of strings. Okay, here it's going to be your editor page. Same thing is going to happen over here as well. Okay, so for your details over here, I'm going to have some basic states. Const router is going to be equals to use router, that is important, required. Next, your user email, const user email comma set user email is going to be equals to your use state, initially empty string. Next, your coding part, so const code comma set code is going to be equals to use state, and pass on the default code, whatever is there initially. Next is for the language part, so const language comma set language is going to be equals to your use state. By default it's going to be TypeScript, so I'm going to go ahead and then add that. Next, your pending prompt, so const pending prompt comma set pending prompt is going to be equals to your use state of type pending prompt or initially undefined. Okay, next you're going to have it for the action type, that is going to be just like this. You can take a look at it. Apart from that, I'm going to have it for the editor mode, so const editor mode comma set editor mode is going to be equals to your use state of type editor mode, by default in edit. Okay, next const your refactored code, we do need a state for this as well. Then next, set refactored code is going to be equals to use state, initially empty string over here. Next, I'm going to say const origin code ref is going to be equals to use ref of your empty string over here. Okay, now I'm going to write a use effect to check the user condition, that is if at all they're logged in or in a logged out state. So initialize the use effect for this. So it's pretty self-understanding, you can understand just as I write down the code. It's going to run on the initial mount, so just pass in an empty dependency array and pass on the router as well. I'm going to say const check user is going to be a async method. Here I'm going to say const data, that is going to have the user that is within the object equals to your superbase. Import that from lib.your get user. So we've already done that. It's going to be pretty similar itself. So here I'm going to check if not of your user, then I'm going to say router.replace to be of your /auth. Okay, else I'm going to say set your user email to be of your user.email. Okay, else a empty string. That's it. Let's call it on the initial mount over here, check user. So there you go, you can take a look at it. This part is done. I'm also going to write down the handle sign out function. It's pretty simple, just a couple of lines. I'm going to say const handle sign out is going to be equals to our async function over here. All right, and here I'm going to say simply await your superbase .auth your sign out, that is this function. And once that's done, I'm going to say router.replace to be of your /auth. Okay, so let's try to save the file. Next, let's get into the return block design and let's start designing this. So I'm going to say class name, that is going to be height of screen. So if you really want to check the design, I'm just going to show you the screenshot. It's going to look something like this. This is the /editor. Okay, so you can take a look at this one, and yeah, that's how we're going to build. So this is our reference design, and you can also refer to the demo part of the video as well. Okay, so apart from height of screen, I'm going to say flex and then flex of column bg of your 0a 0a and then 0a. Save the file. Let's check out the design. So this should be coming from next navigation. Make that change and make sure to use the use client directive. Save. Let's check it out. There you go. Okay, not sure why it is pushing me back to the auth screen. Let's again log in and enter the same password I've given previously. Sign in. There you go, it's working properly fine. We are again coming back to localhost and then editor. So we can start designing this. So this part is done. Next, we're going to look into the header part of the design. That is going to have something like this. Okay, so I'm going to make use of a header tag, and I'm going to have a div over here, and I'm going to use code2, that is from Lucid. Okay, it's going to be self-enclosing, by the way. Save. Let's pass on the design for your code2. Size is going to be of 16. Class name is going to be text of this color code, that is 7C, 6A, and then F7. So for the div over here, I'm going to pass on the class name. It's going to be flex item center, a gap of 2. So below this code2, we're going to have a span tag which is going to say AI pair programmer. So yeah, let's pass on the class name for this as well. Text of SM, font of medium. Text is going to be of this color code, that is E5, E5, and then E5. Let's save. There you go. Just like that, it is looking good. Let's make it even more better. Let's start styling out the header part. class name flex, items of center, justify of between, a px of 5, and then a height of, let's say, 12. I'm going to say border B, and border is going to be this color code 1A, and then 1A. BG I'm going to say 0D, 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 flex shrink of 0. Okay, let's try to save the file. This part is done. There you go. That's looking pretty neat. Alright, so now towards the right hand part, we're going to have a select option where we're going to map over the language and then show all of those designs. That's going to happen right below the diff. We're going to have two diffs basically over here. Within this, a select tag. Here, map over your languages dot map for every language. I'm going to show an option over here, option tag. Here I'm going to say L. So for the option, I'm going to say key is going to be L. Value also is going to be equals to L. Let's pass on the design for the outermost diff. Flex, item center, gap of 3. For the inner diff, it's going to have a relative positioning, so pass on relative. Apart from that, I'm going to say flex and then items of center. So let's exactly see how it's looking. There you go. All of the options are being shown. Let's make it look even more better. So for the select tag, class name, BG of 16, 16 and then 16. It's gonna have a slide border. Border is gonna be 2A, 2A and then 2A. Text is gonna be E5, E5, E5. Text of XS, extra small. PL of 2.5. PR of, let's say, 7. And then I'm going to say PY of 1. Rounded, I'm going to say MD. Outline is going to be none. Cursor is going to be pointer. Appearance is going to be none. So previously we had a different design. Now it's going to look something like this. Pretty neat and clean. As you can see, that's looking pretty good. We are also going to have that chevron down icon that is from Lucid React. Let me add that over here. So that is going to be just like this. Go ahead and then import it as well. Save. As you can see, everything is working properly fine, and we're also able to choose between different options as well. So next, below the diff, over here I'm going to have a self-enclosing div with a design, class name, pass on this style. Okay, next, apart from that, we're going to have a span tag over here that is going to show the user email. So class name, text is going to be XS, and text is going to be your 555. Save. There you go. Just like that, my email is being shown correctly fine. I think it's super light. You can use a darker version of color. For now, I'm just going to keep it as is. Next, you're going to have a button for sign out part. I'll just be adding the code for that. That is going to come right below your span tag over here. So this is the design for the button. Import your logout from Lucid React. Save the file. I'm showing you the complete design for sign out. You can take a look at it. Let's check out the design over here. There you go. Just like that, it's looking pretty clean. So this part is complete. Now let's move on to the next step. That is going to be to design the toolbar section. That is going to be all of this part. Okay, and towards the right hand part as well. So let's go to that. So come back over here to the code editor. Below the header tag, I'm going to have a div. Within that, I'm going to have a span tag, which is going to say AI actions. Pass on the class name for this. Text is going to be 11 pixels. Text is going to be 444, MR of 1. Okay, Now let me map over my actions. I'm not sure actions is defined onto the top. So now I'll be adding two sets of code over here. One is for the actions data. Okay, that is going to be an array of objects which is going to have a type that is going to be of action type and a label and the icon as well. You can import it from Lucid React itself, and these are the color codes I'm using, and these are all of the file extensions over here. Okay, just make sure to add it, take a pause, and then just try to add these ones. So yeah, this part is done. So let's go ahead and then map over the actions part. I'm going to say actions dot apply the map function in JavaScript. So here I'm gonna have in your type and then label icon that is going to be of type icon, comma your color, okay. So here I'm going to first of all check which is active. So const is active is going to be equals to, if at all your active action is equals to your type, then it is active. Const is disabled is going to be, if at all your editor mode is not equals to edit, okay, then it's going to be is disabled. So let's try to return over here. So here we're going to return basically a button itself. So let's try to add that. Within the button, I'm just going to show that specific icon. Okay, size is going to be equals to your 13 and show the label as well over here. Save the file. Let's see how exactly it's looking. Okay, so we do have an issue. Button should be having a key, otherwise it should not show it. So let's say key is going to be equals to your type. Okay, save. I think it's being seen. First of all, let's try to design it. As you can see, AI actions is being seen. Let's give the design for the button over here. Class name, flex, items of center, gap of 1.5, text of xs, px of 3, py of 1.5, rounded is going to be md, transition is going to be all. Okay, so I'm also going to give the design for the div now. Let's go and then do that. So again, it's going to have a flex container, items of center, a gap of 2 basically, some padding required, add in these values. bg is going to be this color code, a border of b, border of 1a, 1a and then 1a. Again, flex shrink of 0. Save the file. There you go. Just like that, we're able to see a really nice design that is looking pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. So now for the button, I'm going to say if at all it's disabled, is disabled. I'm also going to enter the conditional styling over here. You can take a look at it. Let's format once and save. There you go. Just like that, since I gave the conditional styling, we're able to see all of the 3 buttons: explain, refactor, and then find bugs. The design is looking pretty neat. So we can move forward to the next step. That is going to be on mouse enter. That is again a new prop for the button. So on mouse enter, take in an event over here. Here I'm going to check if is disabled, then say return. Here I'm going to say e dot your current target dot style dot background equals to your color plus 18. Similarly, I'm going to do it for the border color as well as the color as well. Okay, so here I'm going to say e dot your current target dot style dot your border color this time is going to be equals to your color plus 55. Next, e dot current target dot your style dot color is going to be equals to your color. Next, I'm going to say on mouse leave, what needs to happen. Again, take in an event, if not of is active. Again, I'm going to have in the similar designs over here, and then I'm going to make the change. That is going to be just like this. I've just added the code. You can take a look at it. Okay, there you go. As you can see, as I hover over it, we are able to see that purplish color. And for refactor, it's going to be orange. For bugs, since it resembles reddish color, I'm just going to show the reddish over here. Okay, so this part is working properly fine. Next, I'm going to have a div over here, which is going to say select code plus right click to explain section. To explain selection. Pass on the design for this. Class name, ML of auto, text of 11 pixels. I'm going to use that. Text of 333. So there you go. I think it's super light, but I'm able to see it onto the screen. You can, let's say, choose white itself instead of this text of white. As you can see, that is pretty good as well. So yeah, this part is done. So now let's design the main layout that is going to be towards the left hand side your code editor, towards the right hand side your AI assistant part. So below this div, I'm going to have a main div, and yeah, first of all, let's give the class name for this. It's going to have a flex of 1. Flex and overflow is going to be hidden. Within this, I'm going to have one more div, and I'm going to check the condition stating that if at all the editor mode is not equals to your difference, and here I'm going to have a div. So within this div, we're going to have different kinds of self-enclosing divs with the color, and the design is going to remain the same. I'm just going to add that over here. So there you go. You can take a look at it. So just like that, it's going to work properly fine. That is, this is the condition for if at all the editor mode is not equals to your difference. Okay. Next, we're going to show the normal design itself. That is editor mode. Having the div over here. Here I'm going to check the condition stating that if at all the editor mode is equals to edit, and we're going to go and then show the editor over here. So this editor is basically a component. Let's design that, and to the editor I'm going to have I'm going to be passing a bunch of props. I'm going to say code is going to be equals to your code. That is a default code which we have. Okay, and your language is going to be equals to your language. On change, I'm going to say set code, and on explain selection, what needs to happen? We need to handle the explain selection. For now, just try to comment this out, and let's try to create the editor part. So make sure you have a components folder within the app. So I'm going to say front end and then components. Not within the app, my bad, within the front end. Here I'm going to say editor.tsx. So let's understand what exactly this editor component does. So this editor component, wraps up the Monaco editor that we're going to use, and it adds a custom explain with AI right click action, because that is not present with the default Monaco editor, and it is going to be a controlled React component whose parent owns the code state. So I'll just be showing you the high level flow, how exactly it's going to look. Okay, so the parent component we're going to have, then we're going to have your code language, then furthermore you're going to have your editor component, and as I told, we're going to use the Monaco editor, and we're going to have all of these user types. On change, your parent state updates is going to happen, and user selects the code, right click, explain with AI option is going to be added once I do right click. So let's say in the normal VS Code, if I do right click, all of these options are going to be present. Similarly, in our project, if I do right click, the explain with AI option should be showing up. Okay, so that's what we're going to build. So first of all, over here onto the top, I'm going to define interface editor props code is gonna be string, language is gonna be string as well, on change is gonna have in your value, that is gonna be of type string, it's gonna return a void. On explain selection, I'm gonna take in the selected code, that is gonna be in the form of string, that is gonna return a void. Okay, here I'm gonna say export default function editor. So here let's receive all of the props that we sent in the previous screen: code, language, on change, on explanation selection, that's going to be of type editor props that we just defined. Here I'm going to have in some refs, so const editor ref is going to be equals to use ref, initially pointing to null. Next, your Monaco ref is going to be equals to your use ref of any, again pointing to null over here. Let's try to get into the return block design. Okay, let's have in a diff. Here let's try to use the Monaco editor. We do have the component itself. I'm going to import two things over here onto the top, and we're going to provide a bunch of options to the Monaco editor. Height, I'm going to say 100%. Language is going to be equals to your language. Value is going to be equals to the code. So the same code is going to be shown within that specific editor, whatever you've passed in within your page.tsx of the editor part. Okay, and then on change, take in a value, and then I'm going to say on change of your value. Okay, next I'm going to say on mount is going to be equals to handle mount. We're going to write the function for that. Next I'm going to choose the theme. I'm going to say choose a dark theme, so vs dark. I'm going to provide a bunch of options, that is for the design part. So font size of 14. I'm going to say minimap enabled is going to be false. Okay, apart from that, I'm going to say scroll beyond last line is going to be false as well. I'm going to say word wrap is going to be on. Next, line numbers is going to be on as well. Next, render your line height, line highlight is going to be line. Next, I'm going to say automatic layout is going to be true. I'm going to give it some padding as well. Top of 20, bottom of let's say 20 as well. And I've added the remaining options, that is font family, your font ligatures, cursor blinking is going to be smooth, smooth scrolling is going to be true, context menu true, and then line decoration width is 8. And just try to give a height of 100%. Display flex direction is going to be column. So now let's go ahead and then write the handle mount function over here. So const handle mount is going to be equals to of type on mount editor and your Monaco instance. Okay, so this function is going to run as soon as the editor loads. So I'm going to say editor ref dot current is going to be equals to your editor, and your Monaco ref dot current is going to be equals to your Monaco instance. So here we are trying to store the references, so later we can use them anywhere within this specific file. Okay, Next, we're going to try to disable the diagnostics part. So for that, I'm going to say apply diagnostics suppression of your Monaco instance. So now what does this function do? That is apply diagnostic suppression. Let's understand that. So this basically is going to disable the TypeScript and JavaScript error checking so that you won't get all of these underlines if at all there are any issues over there. Okay, so first of all, let's go and then write this function. I'm going to say const apply diagnostic suppression is going to be equals to arrow function. I'm going to say Monaco instance, that is going to be of type any for now. I'm going to say Monaco instance dot, we do have the language, access that languages dot your TypeScript dot TypeScript defaults dot set diagnostic options. Here I'm going to say no semantic validation is going to be true. Similarly, no syntax validation is also going to be true. Okay, next, similarly, I'm going to do it for the JavaScript defaults as well. Just try to copy this down. So instead of your TypeScript defaults, it is going to be your JavaScript defaults. That's it. This function is done. So once this function is done, let's come back to the handle mount. I'm going to say editor dot add action. I'm going to add a new ID that is going to be explain selection. And it's also going to have a label as well that is going to say explain with AI. I'm going to say context menu group ID, that is going to be AI, and context menu order, it's going to be 1. Okay, that's it. Next, we're going to implement a run function that is going to get executed when the user clicks. Okay, so here I'm going to say run over here. So over here I've just added the code. You can take a look at it. The first step you're trying to do is to get the selection part, that is whatever the user is highlighted. Okay, so next is going to be a safety check, that is if not of selection, then directly try to return. Else I'm going to say const selected is going to be equals to your ed.getModel.get value in range of selection. So this is going to get you the actual text, that is the coded part. Next, we are just trying to call the on explain selection of your select.trim. So this function we need to define within the page.tsx. Okay, so next I'm also going to add a user effect over here. Just try to import it from React. I'm going to check if at all Monaco ref.current is present, then go ahead and then call your apply diagnostic suppression. Okay, so this is going to be called whenever the language is going to change. So yes, that's pretty much it about your editor file. We have written the complete code for this. Now let's come back to your page.tsx of the editor, and then let's try to write the handle explain section, and let's see what exactly is going to happen. Import editor from the components part. And let's write the handle explain section function over here. So I'm going to say const handle explain selection is going to be equals to, it's going to take in your selected code, that is going to be of type string. I'm going to just set the pending prompt to be of take a unique ID, that is going to be dates.nav. It's going to have a text. I'm going to add it over here, and it's going to have your type. Type is going to be explain. This should be string, just like this. There you go. Let's check out the Chrome over here. Okay, so we are able to see something onto the screen, as you can see, but the design is kind of messed up. Let's look into where exactly we've gone wrong. Okay, I think it is just, a div above, I guess. Yeah, it should be within this div. Add it over here. Save. And boom. Just like that, as you can see, we're able to see something onto the screen. This is your editor part. It's similar, but there is some issue with respect to showing the editor itself. Let's look into that, why exactly it's not showing. Okay, first of all, let's give the design for this specific div. I'm going to give it a flex of 1. Overflow is going to be hidden. It's going to be relative. Save, check it out. Okay, I think even for this div, the design is not given. Let's say class name flex of 1, flex, and then overflow hidden again. Okay, not this one. It's going to have flex of 1 and then overflow hidden, flex column, relative again. Now let's check out the thing. There you go. Just like that, as you can see, it is working properly fine. So this is our own editor. Obviously we've used Monaco editor and the design is looking pretty clean. You can even edit as well. It's going to change properly fine. So whatever code you enter over here, and you can even get code from any other platform as well, it's going to reference to the same code. Okay, so this part is working properly fine and it is complete. Okay, we just have to design the second part and do the implementation. That is going to be for the chat panel. Now let's go ahead and then write the second condition over here. So now let's go ahead and then write the second part. That is going to be if at all your editor mode equals to scanning. So as you saw in the demo part of the video, we're going to show some kind of design over here, showing to the user that the line is going to get scanned from starting to the ending point with some kind of model design. That is what we're going to do over here. Okay, so I'm going to say editor mode if it is equals to scanning and let's try to go ahead and then show the editor. This is going to remain as is, and we're also going to show the bugs scanner design as well. Just try to copy this. This is going to remain same. Apart from that, let's try to have your bug scanner. Here I'm going to pass on the props total lines. That is going to be equals to your code.split /n dot your length. Next is going to be on complete what needs to happen. So go ahead and then take a function. I'm going to say set editor mode to be of your edit and handle scan complete. That's the second function which we're going to call. Okay, let's try to comment this out for now, and let's go ahead and then create the bug scanner.tsx file within your components folder. Just try to copy this down, come back over here, new file bug scanner.tsx, enter, initially define the props interface bug scanner props, get in two things, your total lines of type number, on complete that is going to be void. Okay, next I'm going to say export default function bug scanner. Here I'm going to say total lines comma on complete that is going to be of type bug scanner props. Here first of all get the state for the current line, so const current line comma set current line is going to be equals to use state. It is going to be at 1. Next I'm going to say const done comma set done is going to be equals to use state, by default false. So the way this is going to work is basically it's going to scan from starting line to the end line over here within your code editor. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, So scanning line 1 of 100, it's going to show the percentage. Similarly, scanning line 50 of 100, it's going to show the percentage. Similarly, once the scanning is complete, it's going to show 100% and it's going to be done. Okay, so now let's try to write the use effect over here. Okay, so after that we can look into the return block. So use effect, this is going to run on the initial mount of this component, and it's going to be dependent upon the total lines over here. So let's say const duration is going to be equals to 2 seconds. So within 2 seconds everything should be scanned. Okay, next const interval is going to be equals to your duration divided by your total lines. So let's say suppose your total lines equals to 100, then your interval is going to be equals to 2000 divided by 100, that is going to be 20 milliseconds. Okay, that's 20 ms. Let's say another example, let's say total lines of the code over here is going to be 50, then interval becomes 40 milliseconds. Next, let's try to start the timer over here. I'm going to say const timer is going to be equals to your set interval. So this is going to be running repeatedly. Basically, I'm going to say set current line to be of your previous. I'm going to check if at all your previous is greater than or equal to your total lines, then clear the interval. Set done is going to be equals to true, and I'm going to say set timeout to be of on complete comma your 400. Return the previous value. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So here this is the main important part, that is for the completion check. So let's suppose if at all your previous equals to 100 and total lines is going to be equals to 100 as well. So condition becomes 100 is greater than or equal to 100, which is true. Then that case we need to stop the timer. That's the reason I've given clear interval of timer and then set done to be of true. Okay, so without this the timer would keep on continuing and it's going to keep on running as well. So that's it. And here I'm going to say set timeout of your on complete and then 400. So this is the delay before your callback, and we're going to wait for 400 milliseconds and then call the on complete over here. So this actually gives the users time to see that scanning is complete 100%. Okay, and here just try to return the previous value. So yeah, that's it. So here let's also try to show the progress part. I'm going to say const progress is going to be equals to your math dot round of your current line okay divided by total lines multiplied by 100. That's going to give the percentage. Here I'm going to say return a diff. Within this we're going to have one more diff. I'm going to check if at all done is true. I'm going to say scan complete. So you cannot actually see the design for this one, because once when we implement the chat functionality and once I press on a refactor or find bugs, it is going to work properly fine. Okay, so if it all done is true, it's going to be scan complete, else it is going to say scanning line that is going to be a current line of your total number of lines. That's it. Okay, for this I'm going to give some inline styling itself, font size of let's say 13, color is going to be AAA. For the outermost div, again some inline styling, position is going to be absolute, apart from that I'm going to say top is going to be 0, left 0, right is going to be 0, bottom also 0, background color is going to be this one, I'm going to add it. Apart from that I'm going to say display is going to be flex direction column, align item center. So you can take a look at the remaining styles as well. I've just added it. Next, below this specific div, I'm going to have one more div over here. It's going to have a self-enclosing div. Let's pass on the style for this. This is gonna have, let's say, a height of 100%. Next, width, that is gonna be the progress bar itself. Next, furthermore, for the background, if at all done is true, it's going to be this color code, that is 28C and then 840. Else it's going to be your 7C, 6A and then F7. I'm also going to say border radius is going to be true, and transition width 0.05 seconds, linear, comma, your background 0.3 seconds and then ease. That's it. So for the outermost, if I'm going to pass on the styling, it's going to have, a width of, let's say, 280, height of 4, background is going to be 1A and then 1A. Your border radius is going to be equals to 2. Overflow is going to be equals to hidden. Let's try to save the file. And I'm just going to show a div over here. That is for the percentage part. Let's try to save. Come back over here, import your bug scanner. Let's try to uncomment this. You need to write the handle scan complete component. So let's go ahead and then write that. It's going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to say const handle scan complete equals to a normal arrow function. Here we're just going to set the pending prompt again. Again, use a unique ID, that is going to be date.nav. Your text, I'm going to say find all bugs, issues and edge cases in this language code. I'm going to say type is going to be bugs this time. Save the file. Now next, finally, I'm just going to add the design for the last one. That is going to be for all your editor mode is equals to difference. Let's go ahead and create the difference editor. So this is going to show what is the original code, what is the refactored code, that is with the help of plus and minus, just like GitHub, and you should be able to accept the code as well. So come back to components and then new file, diff editor.tsx. Let's start writing the code for this. So here, first of all, let's try to define the interface, that is difference editor props, your original code string, modified is going to be string as well, language is going to be string, on accept is going to be a void, on reject is also going to be a void. Here I am going to say export default function diff editor original, your modified language, on accept, on reject, that is going to be of type the diff editor props. Here I'm going to say return a diff. So first of all, you're going to have two things, that is accept or reject bar design. That is, once the press on refactor and the refactoring part is done, we're going to have two buttons, that is accept or reject. Once it is accepted, the new code, whatever is given by the AI, that is going to be shown over here. Okay. So for that, I'm going to have div. Within that, one more div. It's going to be a self-enclosing div basically. Add it just like this. So we're going to have internal styling here as well. So style width is going to be 8, and your height is also going to be 8, and your border radius is going to be 50%. Apart from that, I'm going to say your background as well, that is going to be 28C and then 840. Below this, we're going to have a span tag which is going to say refactored version is ready. So refactored version ready. Next, we're going to have one more span tag which is going to say review your changes below. Okay, so for the upper diff, I'm going to say style. This is going to have a display of flex. Apart from that, I'm going to say align items of center and a gap of 8. And for the span tag, I'm going to give this style over here. So style, this in turn is going to have font size of 12. Color is going to be your AAA. For this one also, I'm going to give the style, font size is going to be 11. Okay, and color is going to be your 555. So currently the design, we cannot see it until unless we implement the functionality. So let's just write the code for now. And this one, I'm going to say for the outermost div, style, height is going to be 100%, and display is going to be a flex. Apart from that, I'm going to say flex direction is going to be a column. And for this specific div, I'm going to add the styling. So yes, you can take a look at it. That's the styling for that specific div. Next, you're going to have a button that is going to be over here. So for that, first of all, add a div. Next, a button. I'm going to say X, import it from your Lucid React Native. Size is going to be 13. And I'm going to say reject over here. Okay, so for your button, I'm going to say style. This is going to say display of flex. Apart from that, align items of center. So here I'm going to say align items center. It's going to have a gap of 6. Background is going to be this color code, that is 1A, 0A and then 0A. Border, I'm going to say 1 pixel solid 3A, 1A, 1A. So 3A, 1A and then 1A. Apart from that, I'm going to add the remaining styles over here. That is going to be with respect to the color, your font size, padding, border radius, as well as the pointer. So for the outermost div, I'm going to say give it a style. So this in turn is going to have a display of flex and a gap of 8 over here. Okay, so similarly, I'm just going to add it one more time. That is for the button. This is going to say check, and instead of accept, instead of reject, it's going to say accept over here. So here I'm going to say check. That's it. Remaining everything is going to remain as is. So next, we're going to have the differentiator overview that is going to be coming from the Monaco.difference editor that's already built in. We're just going to use that over here. Okay, so making a div over here, and I'm going to say Monaco dot your diff editor. So yeah, we can just go ahead and then we can try to import it over here. Okay, so for this, we're going to have in a bunch of options. So original code is going to be equals to your original whatever is there. Apart from that, your modified is going to be equals to your modified. Next, your language is going to be equals to your language. Okay, apart from that, your theme, again I'm going to choose VS dark mode. And these are some of the options that are going to be related to the styling part. So font size is going to be 14, and again minimap, as we have given previously, enabled is going to be false. And I'm going to say scroll beyond last line is going to be false. Word map is going to be on. Line numbers is going to be on as well. Okay, apart from that, I'm going to say automatic layout is going to be true. So let's try to add that. Next, I'm going to say your padding top is going to be of 16, and I'm going to add the remaining styling, that is a font size, font family, render by size, as well as read only is going to be true. So that's the basic code for the differentiator editor. Okay, this part is complete. We can come back to page.tsx and then we can design the final part. Import your diff editor from your components folder. Original code ref not present. Let's see what is that exact value. Original code ref, yeah, that's the value. Come back over here. These two things are not present, that is handle accept refactor and then handle reject refactor. Let's go ahead and then write the functions for this. I'm going to say const handle accept refactor, what needs to happen. So here I'm going to first of all set the code to be of your refactored code and set the refactored code to be of empty and set editor mode again to the normal itself, that is edit. Simple. Next, I'm going to say const handle reject refactor is going to be a normal arrow function. I'm going to set the set refactored code to be of empty and again set editor mode to be of your edit as well. Come back to the previous state. So this part is done. Now the final part is to design your chat panel that is going to come towards the right hand side, that is over here. Okay, that is going to look just like this. So for that, let's go ahead and then start writing the code. Okay, so after this we're going to have a diff that is going to be self enclosing. So class name, pass on this design. BG is going to be 1A, 1A and then 1A. Apart from that, I'm going to say your flex shrink of 0. So this for the chat part. I'm going to create a new component that is going to be your chat panel. I'm going to pass in a bunch of properties. So code is going to be equals to code, language is going to be equals to your language, and pending prompt is going to be equals to your pending prompt, and on pending prompt handled, here I'm going to take in a function and I'm going to say set pending prompt to be of undefined, and on refactor result is going to be equals to handle refactor result. So we need to write down the code for that, and on bug result, what needs to happen, again a handle bug result for that specific part. Comment this down for now. Let's go ahead and then create your chat panel.tsx within the components folder. Okay, I'm going to say new file. It's going to be your chat panel.tsx. okay, let's first of all write the interfaces. So for the message part, we're going to have two roles, that is going to be the role of the user or role of a AI assistant. So just write down that. Apart from that, I'm going to say content, that is going to be string. Next, your type, it can either be explain or your refactor, or it's going to be your bugs part, or let's say your chat mode. Okay, next is for your interface chat panel props. All right, it's going to have a code of string, your language as well, that is going to be of type string. Next is your pending prompt, that is going to be like this, and on pending prompt handled, so this is going to return a void. Next, your on refactor result, this in turn is going to take in the result of string and then return a void. Okay, next for the final one, on bug result, again similarly of type result, string format and then void. So that's it. So next I'm going to define my type config, that is going to be in the form of objects. We're going to have four basically type configs. That's going to be explain, refactor, bugs and then your chat mode. So that's going to look something like this. You can take a look at it, import all of these icons from your Lucid React. Okay, this part is complete. Now let's try to export default your chat panel. So get in all of the things, code, your language, your pending prompt, next on pending prompt handled. Apart from that, your on refactors result as well as the on bug result. Let's add both of these as well. So this part is done. This is going to be of type your chat panel props. That is this one. Okay, this part is done. So here let's try to initialize some states that are required for this specific component. So first of all, for the message, that's the important part. So const messages comma set messages is going to be equals to your use state of type message, initially a empty array. Next is with respect to the prompt. So const prompt comma set prompt equals use state empty string. Next is for the loading state, const loading comma set loading equals to your use state. It's going to be false basically. Next, I'm going to have some references that are required. One is for the text area, one is for the bottom ref of the chat panel, and one is for the last prompt ID ref, and one is for your is sending ref. Okay, so let's write down all of them. So bottom ref equals to your use ref of your HTML div element, initially null. Next is for your text area ref equals to use ref, again of HTML div element. This also would be pointing to null. Next, we're going to have your last prompt ID ref, that is going to be equals to your use ref of a number. Initially, it's going to be pointing to 0. Next, I'm going to add a use effect as well as the last ref, that is going to be this one. So inside the use effect, I'm going to say bottom ref.current.scroll into view. The behavior is going to be smooth. So this is for the scrolling part, and this is going to be dependent upon the messages. So that's the reason I've passed it just like this. Okay. So yeah, this part is done. We can move into the return block of the design. So I'm going to say return over here. Have in a div. Let's pass on the class name for this. So I'm going to say class name. Height is going to be a full. Width of full as well. Flex. And then flex column. BG of your 0f, 0f, and then 0f. Save the file. So now let's come back to your page.tsx and then let's give the design for this. Import your chat panel from the components folder. So class name for this, width of let's say 400 pixels. Okay, I'm going to say flex shrink of 0. Overflow is going to be hidden. Height of full and flex container. Now let's check out the design and boom, just like that, as you can see, we are able to see our really good looking chat editor or your chat panel where the user is gonna chat with the code over here with respect to the code. Okay, so this part is done. We can come back and continue designing the chat panel part. First, let's complete designing the header part of it. So having a div, within that one more div, we're gonna have basically your sparkles icon. Size is gonna be equals to 14. Class name, it's going to be text of 7c and then 6a f7. Okay, so below the sparkles I'm going to have a span tag that is going to say AI assistant. Pass on the class name for this. Text is going to be 13 pixels. font medium, text is going to be E5, E5, E5. For the div, I'm going to say class name, give it flex, items of center, and a gap of 2. Let's exactly see how it's looking. There you go. That's pretty neat. So this part is done. And if at all the messages.length is greater than 0, then only I'm going to show the delete button that's going to come right below this. So there you go, just like that. And then add the trash 2 icon over here. For this div, let me give the styling. It's going to say flex, items of center, justify of between, some px of 4, internal spacing, py of 3, border onto the bottom, and then border is going to be this color code, that is hashtag 1e, and then 1e, as well as flex shrink of 0. Save. There you go. That's looking pretty good. And if all we do have any messages, then only the delete button is going to show up. That is just like this. Okay. So yeah, this part is looking good. We can move on to the next part, that is going to be for the messages. So we just have 3 parts. On the top header, in between messages, and bottommost part is going to be your input box. So here within the div, I'm going to have basically your text area. Okay. First of all, let's finish designing the input part. So text area just like this. It's going to have a reference. That is going to be your text area ref. Your value is going to be equals to your prompt. Okay. And then on change, I'm going to say take in an event over here, and I'm going to set the event, not event, set prompt to be of your e.target.your value. Okay. Apart from that, on key down, what needs to happen, again take an event over there, check if at all the key is equals to enter. So here I'm going to check if your e.key is equals to enter, and not of e.shift key. I'm going to say e.your prevent default, and your send message of undefined, and then the type is going to be chat. So I'm just going to comment out this for now. We can uncomment it once when we write the send message function. I'm going to say ask about your code, and then ... Okay. So rows is going to be 2. Let's provide in the style for this. So it is going to have a flex of 1. Apart from that, bg of, let's say, transparent. Border is going to be none. Apart from that, your outline is also none. Next, I'm going to say resize is going to be none, and text is going to be 13 pixels. Okay. Next, I'm going to say text is going to be E5, E5, and then E5. Leading is going to be relaxed, and I'm going to say font is going to be sans. So that's it. So below this, I'm going to have one button which is going to say a send. Okay. So here I'm going to say button, import your send from Lucid React, and over here pass on the size. I'm going to say 14. Your color is going to be equals to, if at all, prompt.trim, and not of loading, it is going to be in white, else 555. Okay, that's it. And for the button, let's provide in the options. We're going to say on click. Okay, not over there. Yeah, so for on click, I'm going to say taking a function. Here I'm going to say send message again of chat. Next I'm going to say disabled if at all loading is true or not of prompt dot trim. Okay, and next I'm going to say providing the class name for this. So rounded is going to be MD. Okay, apart from that, P of 1.5, use this. Flex container, items of center, justify of center as well, and transition is going to be colors. So yeah, save the file, format once. We can try to comment that. And for the diff, yeah, the styling is not done. So for the outermost part, I'm going to say class name. It's going to have some internal spacing, padding of 3, border of T, and then border of this color code, that is 1E, 1E and then 1E, flex column, a gap of 2, and flex shrink of 0. Okay, I've also added the design for the second if you can take a look at it. Let's check out the UI over here. There you go, just like that, it's looking pretty neat and clean. So let's just design it for the messages part and we are good to go. We can look into the implementation as well, or we can try to write the functionalities, even that is better. So that is for send message. So yes, let's actually look into that. That is the send message, what it should happen. Okay, so this is going to be a long function. Let's try to write down and then understand what exactly is going to happen. Okay, so let's go on to the top and then define the send message function. So this is going to be the most important function for your chat panel. You can consider this as the heart of your AI coding assistant. Okay, so let's first of all say const send message. Is it task message I've written? Let's check it out. Let's just make it as message, not task message. It's going to be basically a async function. Okay, so this in turn is going to take in your custom prompt that is going to be of string. Next, the type of chat which we're going to use, that is either explain mode or your refactor mode or bugs mode or your chat mode. Alright, so now let's understand what exactly we're going to write it as a whole. Let's say in steps. Okay, so first of all, it's going to take in your user input and it's going to add the messages to the chat. It's going to call the endpoint that we have written, that is going to be, /API /stream. Next, it's going to read Claude's streaming response, updates the UI token by token because we need to show it in the streaming format, and it handles special modes like bugs and your refactor, and it displays the final result. That is what it's going to do. So you can check out the overall flow. It is going to look something like this. Okay, so user clicks send, then call the send message function, add user message, show the placeholder assistant message, call to the post API stream, then FastAPI is gonna take help of Claude, then receive the chunks from Claude, that is we're gonna say receive stream chunks, update the chat continuously, and full response is going to be collected, and you're going to parse according to what mode we are using and then show the final output. That is going to be the entire overview over here. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. So first step is to determine the content over here. So let's try to access that. So within the function, I'm going to say const content equals to your custom prompt or your prompt that is going to be generated if not of content dot trim. So here next I'm going to check if at all not of content dot trim. That means if at all there is no values present, I'm just going to say a return because we cannot execute. Next is let's try to access the user message over here. So let's try to create that. I'm going to say const user message is going to be of type message it's going to be in the form of object. So role is going to be of the user, and pass on the content and type as well. I'm going to set the state, so set messages to be of whatever is there in the previous, include that, and over here I'm going to access the previous, make use of the spirit operator, and then add in the user message so that it is stored inside of state. After that, set the prompt to be of empty and set your loading to be of true. Okay, now we're going to check if at all the type is going to be equals to bugs, or type is going to be equals to refactor. So for bugs, it is going to look something like this. Okay, role is going to be of assistant and content is going to be scanning for bugs, and for your refactor, it is going to look something like this. Okay, that's it. So accordingly, we're going to implement it over here. So let's first of all check the condition below this. I'm going to check if at all my type is going to be equals to bugs, or your type is going to be equals to your refactor. Here I'm going to say set messages to be of whatever is there in the previous, include that. Okay, first of all include all of the previous values, and here next I'm going to check role is going to be your assistant, and I'm going to say content. If at all my type is going to be equals to your bugs, it is going to be scanning for bugs as I told, so add in that dot, else it is going to be analyzing and refactoring your code. So analyzing and refactoring your code, and then dot, and finally it's going to have the type as well. Okay, else over here I'm just going to add the default one over here. Okay, this is just going to be empty message bubble, so that's the reason. Role is going to be assistant, and then content is going to be empty, type is going to be that itself. Okay, so this part is done. So now let's initialize your full response string. For that I'm going to say let full response is gonna be equals to a empty string over here. Okay, next let's try to initialize your try catch block. So try and then catch of error. Here I'm going to say console dot error of error, and let's use the finally block as well. So finally I'm going to say set loading to be of false, and text area ref dot current dot focus. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now let's come back to the try block and let's try to make a API call. That's the important step. So initialize the response. So const response is going to be equals to your await fetch /API /stream, and here pass on the method that is going to be your post method. Pass on your headers as well. I'm going to say content type. It is going to be application /JSON, and your body is going to be equals to your JSON.stringify. Here let's pass on the code and your language. It's going to take in the prompt as well. That is going to be your content basically. Next is your mode. It's going to be type, or by default it is going to be in chat mode. Apart from that, it's going to be the messages. Here I'm going to say messages.map. For every message, I'm going to say your role is going to be your m.role, and your content is going to be your m.content. Okay, that's how you're going to initialize your response. Data from backend is going to come something like this. That is in the form of chunks. Let's say like this. There is hello, world, exclamatory mark, and then more words. Whereas our full response, when it is fully initialized, it's going to show up like this. Okay, so that's the reason we need a variable to hold all of that. Yeah, so after calling the API, next step is to obtain your stream reader. So let's try to initialize that right below this. So I'm going to say const reader is going to be equals to your response.body dot your get reader. Okay, so the HTTP response body is basically a stream, and the reader is gonna read chunks one by one. Okay, next step is to do the decode part. So I'm gonna say const decoder equals to new text decoder, and I'm gonna check if not of reader, then directly try to return. Here let's try to initialize a buffer basically. Okay, so this buffer is actually needed because chunks may arrive partially. So let's say chunk 1 is gonna show something like this, just half information, there is data and then just TE, and chunk 2 is gonna show something like this, that is XT and then hello, because obviously data is gonna come chunk by chunk, right? So we need to combine them, we just cannot show it like this. So for that we're gonna implement this particular loop and then it's gonna show up correctly. So that's the reason we've initialized that buffer text over here. And after that I'm gonna initialize a loop while true. I'm gonna check const done comma value is gonna be equals to await your reader dot your read. Okay, here I'm gonna check if done. I'm gonna say break over here, and buffer plus is gonna be equals to your decoder dot decode of your value, and I'm gonna say stream is gonna be equals to true. So this is done to basically read the chunk. Okay, and if done, then we're gonna say break, which means the stream is ended. And next we are actually trying to do the decoding part. So after that we're gonna do the splitting of lines. So let's try to add it over here. Okay, and I'm gonna say buffer equals to your lines dot pop. Alright, that's it. So now the next step is to process each line. Okay, that is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna make use of a for loop. So for const line of lines, I'm gonna check over here. Okay, not like this. If my line dot starts with your data, so we're actually going to ignore the non-data lines, so only include all of your data lines. So this part is done. So now next let's try to check the details, that is const data is going to be equals to your line dot size, your line dot slice of 6 dot trim, and if data is going to be equals to done, then try to break. Okay, that is going to basically stop your stream. Next step is to parse your JSON. So for that I'm going to say const parsed is going to be equals to, again we're going to have a try block over here. So const parsed equals to your JSON dot parse of your data. So this data is going to be coming from, okay, my bad, so they should come below the if condition. Okay, so here I'm going to check if at all your parsed dot text is present, then your full response plus equals to your parsed dot text. I'm going to check if at all your type is not equals to your bugs, and your type is not equals to your refactor. So this is basically for the normal chat, that is if at all your type is not equals to bugs and type is not equals to refactor, we're just going to update the message instantly. That is going to be for the normal chat. So here I'm going to check const token is going to be equals to your parsed dot text, and here I'm going to say await new promise of void, and I'm going to say resolve over here. I'm going to say request animation frame, set the messages, that is update instantly, use the previous value. Here I'm going to check const updated is going to be equals to whatever is there within your previous. Okay, and I'm going to check updated of your updated dot length minus 1 is going to be equals to your updated of updated dot length minus 1 comma your content, that is going to be your updated of your updated dot length minus 1 dot content plus your token value, and here we're just going to say return your updated value. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file. So you're using that request animation frame because it schedules the UI update on the next paint cycle. It's going to basically prevent the UI lag, and we're trying to update the last message with the help of the set messages state. Okay, so that is what we are trying to do over here. Now let's handle the next block, that is going to be your refactor. Okay, so let's minimize this, or we can write basically a new condition itself. That is after your while loop. Okay, so this is going to be for the condition. I'm going to check if at all your type is going to be equals to refactor. So here first of all we're going to call a function that is going to be your inject assistant message. We're going to write that in just a bit. Here it's going to take in a string that is going to be refactored version is ready. Review the difference in the editor. It's going to be refactor mode. Okay, next it's going to say on refactor result dot your full response. Okay, so basically if callback exists, invoke it. It's going to probably update the editor with the new code. So yes, that's pretty much it. And next I'm going to check else if your type is going to be equals to your bugs. Okay, I think there is a bracket issue over here. So your type is going to be equals to bugs. Then over here I'm going to say try and then catch. So within the try block I'm going to check const match. It's going to be equals to your full response dot match. I'm going to add the expression for this. So this is just to extract the JSON. That's the reason we're going to add it. Okay, and if at all your match is found, next I'm going to first of all parse it. So const parse or const parsed is going to be equals to your JSON dot parse of your match of 0. Okay, here if not of parsed dot has underscore bugs or your parse dot bugs dot your length is equals to 0. Then here again I'm going to call the function that is inject assistant message. With a message saying that no bugs found, your code looks clean. This is going to be with respect to the bug, so add in that over here. Else if it doesn't has bugs, I'm going to say const bug list is going to be equals to your parse dot bugs dot map. For every value over here I'm basically going to generate a proper list which is going to be in proper point. That is what is going to be shown to the front end user as well. Okay, so just added the complete code for that. You can take a look at it. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. Else over here I'm going to say this was the outermost else. I'm going to say again inject your assistant message of could not parse bug results and then try again. This is going to be with respect to the bugs again. And finally over here we're going to say on bug result dot your full response. So yes, that's your complete send message function. I'm just going to write the function for inject assistant message over here onto the top. So const inject assistant message equals to, it's going to take in the content whatever we have given, that is going to be of string, your type, that is going to be of message with respect to the type. Okay, I'm just going to set the messages to be of the previous value. Let's try to access the updated, which is going to include the previous. So if my updated dot length is greater than 0 and updated of updated dot length minus 1 dot your role is equals to your assistant and your updated of your updated dot length minus 1 dot your content is going to be equals to scanning for bugs dot. Then in this case I'm going to say updated of updated dot length minus 1 is going to be equals to role, that is going to be of assistant, comma your content is going to be of type. And here I'm just going to say return updated. Okay, so this part is done, and over here I'm going to say return whatever is there in the previous. So your role is going to be of assistant, pass on the content and then the type. So yes, that's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file. Now let's implement the messaging part. That's the next step. Okay, so first of all, within the diff, I think this is the diff that we have left it out for the messages part. I'm going to check if at all my messages dot length is equals to 0 and let's try to render a div over here. I'm going to have a sparkles icon, size of let's say 22 or 24, class name, text of this color code, that is 7C, 6A, and then F7. Alright, then apart from that I'm going to have a p tag which is going to say ask anything about your code, and a br tag. I'm going to say use the toolbar buttons or select code to explain. So this is going to handle if at all the messages.length is equals to your 0. So let's provide in the style for this. So flex of column, items of center, justify of center as well, height is going to be full, a gap of 3, opacity of 50. And for the p tag I'm going to pass on the styling. So class name, text is going to be 13 pixels. Okay, and text is going to be your 888. Text of center, leading is going to be relaxed. So for the outermost step we're going to have the design as well. Flex of 1, overflow of let's say y of auto, padding of 4, and then flex column, a gap of 4 as well, and then min height of 0. Save. Let's check out the design over here. There you go. Just like that, since our messages.length is equals to 0, you are able to see ask anything about the code. That is a design which we are currently showing, and it is correctly centered at the center point of the chat panel. Okay, so this part is done. Now we can try to show the messages part. That is going to be over here if at all messages are present. So messages.map for every message and the index. Here first of all check the config type. So config is going to be equals to your msg.type. If it is present, then your type config of message.type, access that, else it is going to be type config.chat by default. Const icon is going to be equals to your config.icon. Const is user is going to be equals to msg.role is going to be equals to your user. Next I'm going to say return a diff, and here pass on the key, that is going to be index, and a class name as well. I'm going to say flex column gap is going to be 1.5, and I'm going to say dollar is user, then it's going to be items end, that is if at all the user message then towards the right side, if at all AI message towards the starting side. So here I'm going to say items start. Okay, so here we're going to have one more diff. Within this I'm going to add the design, that is if is user, if not of user, then we're going to show the bot icon that is going to have this piece of style, and this is for the span tag that is going to say user u or AI. Okay, so that's basically going to be something like this. Okay, u, and this for the AI part. So that's the reason we have added both of these values. Next I'm going to check if at all the message.type is going to be not like this, and your message.type is not equals to chat, and I'm going to have a span tag. Basically within this we're going to have your icon size is going to be, let's say, 9, and I'm going to show the label config.label part. Let's provide in the class name for this, so text of, let's say, 11 pixels, then px of 1.5, py of 0.5, rounded, flex, items of center, and then a gap of 1. Okay, so save the file. So we cannot test it right now because we need to complete it fully, and once when I enter a chat and everything is working fine, you should be able to see everything working all at once. Okay, so yeah, that's it about this diff. Now let's have one more diff that is going to be for your main messaging part. So diff just like this. Here first of all check if is user is true, then go ahead and then add a span tag. Here I'm going to say span, which is going to show the content msg.content. Else over here I'm going to check msg.content is present. In this case we're going to have a complete diff with the formatted value. For that we're going to use the React Markdown. So we can go on to the top and then import it just like this, that is React Markdown. Okay, so for this we're going to show the component part. So I'm going to say components is going to be equals to code. It's going to have your children and the class name. I'm going to check const is block equals to your class name dot includes of your languages. I'm going to check return if is block is true, then it's going to be enclosed within the pre tag, and use the code over here and show all of the children. You can actually check out the docs of how the React Markdown is going to work like, and you should be able to understand whatever I'm writing. So next, let's try to add the code and then show in the children over here. Okay, that is going to be just like this. And else over here, if at all you're loading and your index is equals to your messages dot length -1, then in this case I'm going to have a span tag, else it is going to be null. Okay, I think a question mark is missed over here. So within the span tag, we're going to show a icon. I'll be just getting that over here. That's going to be this one, so you can take a look at it. So yes, this part is completely done, and we're also going to give a self-enclosing div that is going to have the bottom ref for the entire container. So ref is going to be equals to your bottom ref. Save the file. So there you go, we have completed the entire design. So now if at all we have done everything correctly, that is even in the backend part, so backend is already running, we should be able to see the streaming part working properly fine. So now let's actually give this a try. Let's see what exactly happens. I'm just going to press on explain and let's see what happens over here. Okay, nothing seems to happen. Not sure if at all the on click is given for each of them. So send message, it is there because it is already enabled. There you go, it is working fine. So let's come back to your page.tsx over here. Yeah, I think for this button the on click is not given, so let's verify that once. Let's see why exactly it is not added, and let's add it. So yeah, handle action, that is not done. So for button I'm going to say on click, taking a function, and here I'm going to say handle action to be of your type, whatever is chosen. Okay, let's go and then write the function for that one. I'm going to say const handle action equals to, it's going to have a type that is going to be of action type, and let's first of all set the active action of that specific type. Okay, and I'm going to say set timeout, set the activation action, active action to be of null after a second. Okay, so this should come over here. Apart from that, check the conditions stating that if at all the type is going to be equals to your explain mode, then here I'm going to say set pending prompt to be of the id, that is going to be your date dot nuv, your text, that is going to be explain this entire language file, break it down function by function. Next I'm going to say your type is going to be explain. Similarly, we're going to have it for the remaining ones. Else if your type is going to be equals to your refactor. Next, let's try to add all of this over here. So set pending prompt, add in the id, and text is going to remain, it's going to change. So I'm going to say refactor this language code for better readability performance and best practices. Else if your type is going to be equals to bugs, then we're going to set the editor mode to be of scanning, which is going to be already handled. So else if your type is going to be equals to bugs, here I'm going to say set editor mode to be of your scanning. So yeah, save the file. Let's check if at all of the other functions have been completed. So handle scan complete, it's written, then handle accept refactor, handle reject refactor. Okay, all of this is done. Apart from that, your handle action, that is the one which you just wrote, handle refactor result, yeah, that is not yet added. So let's check where is handle refactor result. Yeah, there you go. These two things are pending. So I'll be adding it for the handle refactor result, so you can take a look at it. Okay, so let's try to save the file. Apart from that handle explain section, let's see if at all that is present. Yeah, this is added. Then handle sign out is there, and then we're also checking the user part. Okay, so now let's check where exactly we are calling the handle sign out, if at all we have given the on click to it. Yeah, on click is given, that's good. Now let's give this a try. Come back to Chrome, and now I'm going to again press on explain. Automatically it should take this file, that is this piece of code, and then it should give it to the AI assistant. Explain, and boom, just like that it is given it to it. Let's see what exactly it gives. Okay, so the chat is working fine, but there is some issue with respect to the response part. Let's see if at all there is any issues. Inspect and then console. Let's see if that error again comes up. Let's try to reload this, and I'm going to say explain over here. Nothing is working as well. Let me just verify my .env file, if at all of the details are already added. Okay, so this is the issue. So as you can see, my Anthropic API key is not added. I'm just going to add that again, and I'm going to try this out once more. So I've just added my Anthropic API key. So now I'm just going to try this out one more time. Let's try to reload this. So that's the reason it obviously didn't work. We need to have a proper API working key. So now let's again press on explain. Okay, still no issues, but hopefully we should be seeing some issues or the other in the backend part or over here. Let's actually right click this. We can see that option. As you can see, explain with AI is added. There you go. Just like that, this also is working fine, but the AI response is not coming back. That's the only issue. So let's try to fix that up. Let's see why exactly nothing is happening. So I'm just trying to debug the issue over here. I've just added some logging in the backend part within the stream.py, and as you can see, we are getting a Anthropic status 401 issue. It says type error, that is authentication error, that is your API key is required. Even though I've added it to the .env file, it's not able to read it. So let's try to add it properly, because I've also used the load.env and API key as well as given over here, but not sure why it is not able to read that. So I just looked at my previous project code, and the order is just different. That is, your API router was written below and this was written above. Not sure what change that would cause. So let me just give this a try, and let's see what exactly happens. I'm going to press on explain, and boom, just like that, as you can see, everything is working properly fine. It is giving the answer in a structured format, even with proper coloring and in a really nice explanation way as well. As you can see, the answer is fully complete. It says TypeScript code explanation. This file contains two mathematical functions. One is for calculating Fibonacci numbers and another is for finding the prime numbers. It's taken down the entire function, whatever it's given. It's also identified the purpose, that is calculate the nth number in the Fibonacci sequence, and how it works. It is also given the proper examples for that and the proper explanation as well, and jumped on to function number 2, and even this is working properly fine. Okay, if you can try to refactor as well, that also is going to work. So you can try to check this feature as well, that is select all the code, right click, there you go, the explain with AI feature is added. This is the feature which we added within this particular toolbox. Let's press on explain with AI. There you go, just like that, this full code was sent to the chat, and it's explaining properly what exactly that specific code does. As you can see, that's really cool. It's working properly fine, giving all of the results, and even the streaming part is working absolutely good. If you want to increase the chat panel size, you can increase that, but for now I've just kept it as is. So yeah, the explain part is working properly fine. Let's actually check out the bugs. There are no bugs as such. If at all it wants to improve the coding a bit, it might go and then show some bugs. That is the bugs, but with respect to the coding part, it is working properly fine. Let's say finding bugs, and boom, just like that, as you can see, you were able to see all of the scanning part going properly fine, and even the model also was showing correctly. I think there is an issue for this scanning for bugs, and you can see all of the details over here in the backend console. Okay, no, there is no issue. It is working properly fine. It says it found 12 issues. So line 5 is critical. No input validation. Negative numbers cause stack overflows. So Fibonacci of number 5 will infinitely recurse because -5 is less than 1. Yeah, that is a good condition. But with respect to the positive numbers and with respect to the entire function, this function holds good. It is a good way of writing code. It's written in recursion basically, and it's also given detail for no handling for non-integer inputs, that is Fibonacci of 3.7. Yeah, it's also identified the decimal value, that is if at all the user gives in decimal, it might cause a issue, and it is given all of the other details as well. Okay, so yes, this was working properly fine, that is for scanning as well, and all the details and all of the logs are being shown properly fine over here. As you can see, we have your message stop and message delta as well, and accordingly we have written the condition for that in the code, and it's working properly fine. So this is basically your entire server-side event structure itself. That is Anthropic streaming API. It's going to send each event as 2 lines. That is an event, that is going to be your type line, okay, and it's also going to send a data, that is going to be this one, and then a blank line as a separator. That's exactly what you are seeing over here. That is raw line as well as raw line, as you can see, event, and then the data, and then a separator part. Okay, that's your entire structure for the server side events. And so you can basically go through the logs for detailed understanding, that is how exactly it is working. And yeah, that's it. So if this part is complete, let's move on to the next one. That is the final step. You can check out the refactor part, that is how exactly it's working. I'm going to press on refactor over here. So it is also working properly fine. It's going to refactor that specific code, and once it has refactored it, we should be able to accept or reject as well. Let's even test out that feature as well. Now it's actually going to the second function, that is find primes function. Let's see how exactly it's going to refactor this. Okay, so it has given the refactored part, but over here onto the code editor we are not able to see the design. So let's see what exactly is the issue, or let's check if at all we can solve that one. Let me just check the function over here, that is if at all there is any kind of bugs. I just spotted one earlier. So for refactor over here, this should be refactor, my bad. That's the reason it's not giving the detail, as I guess. Instead of explain, should be refactor. Now let's give this one more try. I'm going to clear off this, and then again I'm going to say refactor over here. Okay, as you can see, now it is not explaining the code. It's going to refactor the code, and boom, just like that, as you can see, it has given all of the lines that should be deleted and all of the lines that can be added. Okay, so here it says analyzing and refactoring your code, refactored version is ready, review the full difference over here. Okay, you can press on accept, and just like that, that code is going to get accepted over here. Okay, this is for Fibonacci. It has given a proper code, and it's working properly fine as well. I think for refactor, it's actually running into a loop. You can fix it on your own. So that part is done, and we are good to go. You can try to paste in any other code as well over here. Let's say you can paste in something from Geeks for Geeks. Let's say your breadth for search. Okay, I'm going to take it from, let's say, C++ itself. Just try to copy this down, then come back to our code editor, choose it to CPP, and enter this piece of code. Okay, and I'm going to just say explain this code over here. And there you go. This is C++, not TypeScript. It has identified that, and the code you have shared. Okay, let's wait for this to complete. It's also giving the proper diagrams as well. That's really clean, and this is looking really good. So as you can see, it has explained all of the methods. So code breakdown, this is a C++ graph BFS implementation. So headers and namespaces, starting from that, it has imported everything, and it has explained what exactly it does. Your main BFS function, the purpose is to traverse a graph using the breadth first search method starting from node 0. So everything is working properly fine. It is also given a nice diagrammatic way to understand this even more better, and this is working properly cool. So as I said, any code can be refactored. Any code can be added over here, and it should be able to take that code and then explain it to you in a really nice way. Okay, and once you press on delete, it is going to get deleted. and even log out should work properly fine. There you go. We are into the login screen. We've been brought back to the login of the sign up screen. So everything is working properly fine. So you can test it out with different scenarios. It is going to work properly fine. So that's it. So we have implemented the entire project end to end from scratch, learning everything. And this is a really good project to learn and build along. You can put on more features, like you can add monetization as well to this. If at all the user has to, have more than 2 chats or has to do more kind of chatting with AI, you can try to monetize it. And it's going to be a really good project. And if you really found this interesting, please do the like button and do subscribe for more such content. So let's see you in the next video, and then thank you for watching.